games, shoulder issues, hadn't played since mid-November. Trae Young for the Hawks out with a hamstring injury. Kyrie, early on, not scoring but facilitating. Jarrett Allen down low. None but a Irving. This time, left hand off glass. Nets happy to see him back. Irving probes the defense, then buries the three. And it's an early big lead. They continue to lead by a bunch. Those handles, not rusty at all. DeAndre Hunter, the rookie, getting a good look at Kyrie. Theo Pinson on the bench, giving everybody the what for. Vince Carter back in Brooklyn, final game, and a standing ovation. Let him know, old fella. Backs down Spencer Dinwiddie, the crowd showing their appreciation and love. Vince won't continue to do it forever. Nets are just happy to see this guy back. And what a game from Kyrie. Great look at this off the very top of the glass. And what an incredibly efficient night for Kyrie. Good pass in the paint. Pretty high degree of difficulty shot that's challenged. 10 of 11 in 20 minutes. Afterwards, he talked about the difficulty in getting back on the floor.
I'm trying to make up these words of how I make sense of it, but it was kind of a long road back, man. Just a lot of questions that I had to answer. Just health with my shoulder, longevity, what would have been the best option, you know, for my health and long term. So once I kind of got that foundation set, it was easier to make that decision to come back when I did.
Kyrie got a jersey from Vince on the way out, and I mentioned 10 of 11, 91%. That's the highest clip in any of his 520 career NBA games. All this comes after being shelved for 2 months and 26 games. Elias tells us that's the highest field goal percentage in NBA history.
How's it at SportsCenter? We're in Los Angeles. He's Stan. I'm Neil. One of the two number ones in college basketball loses. But first, Russell Westbrook went to the old home where he once used to roam. You all know that song.
If you remember Kevin Durant's return to Oklahoma City after he left, you know they have long memories there, and they aren't afraid to express their petty. But Westbrook didn't leave as a free agent. He got traded to Houston. So what kind of reception would he get when he went back? Well, they had never played a video tribute for a returning player in Oklahoma City before, but that changed Thursday night. Nothing but love for Westbrook. Here's the introduction. That was awesome and well-deserved. Left it all out on the floor when he was playing for the home team. Now he's playing for the road team and still doing it. First 2 points in his return. He had 18 in the first half on 7 for 11 shooting. So got off to a good start with all the emotion in the building. Good early return for him. Westbrook played well, but the Thunder played better. Chris Paul, he's had a resurgence in OKC. Royce Young told me he went vegan. And he's in great shape and playing great, throwing the alley-oop to Steven Adams there, who had 15, 5 assists for Paul in the game. James Harden, 5 for 17 from the floor. OKC going the other way. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he had 20. He's scored 20-plus in 4 of their last 5 games. Third quarter. Rockets down by 24. Clint Capella misses, and Westbrook dejected after the miss. Westbrook finishes with 34 points. He shoots better than 50%, but the rest of the Rockets not nearly as good. They were 11 for 40 from three-point range. Always a big stat for them. And then Chris Paul making move. Got Isaiah Hartenstein there and got LeBron, who was watching it. 18 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists for Paul. Houston held to fewer than 100 for just the second time this season. And the Thunder win it 113-92. Here's Westbrook.
Some things you can't put into words just because I've been there for so long and so many great memories, great people, obviously the best fans in the world because they come with it. And tonight they came with it. And the organization, Sam, Mr. Bennett, you know, they do an amazing job of just making you feel home, and I feel like I was home. Me and my team, we came up with zero regrets, and something that I creatively try to figure out what I can do for the city. And I don't regret one thing, being here in Oklahoma City. I don't regret signing back. I don't regret staying here. I don't regret anything that I did here. I feel like I left everything out on the floor every single night and did what I could for the city.
Westbrook got everything except the win in his return to Oklahoma City. It was his 195th 30-point game, and this 21-point loss in this game, the largest of his career when he scores 30. Let's bring in Tim Legler now. Tim, Thunder fans got to see the Russell Westbrook who used to do those kinds of things for their team, and they also saw James Harden struggle once again with his shooting. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, first of all, as far as Russell Westbrook, I thought going into this one that this player should get as great a reception as any player returning to their former team because of what he laid on the line for these fans for all those years in Oklahoma City, and that's exactly what he got. I thought the video tribute was fantastic. It included community service things and just really summed up what Russell Westbrook meant to the community, and he came out and played great. And sometimes, Stan, it's hard to play well offensively in games that mean this much, but he got to the areas of the floor where he's very successful. He was posting up. He was taking it to the rim, knocked down an occasional perimeter shot, but he was the only guy on this roster that played well offensively. And James Harden, this is 2 games in a row where he has really struggled. I know he had the 40-point triple-double, but the shooting night was horrific against Atlanta, continued in this one, and I thought that overall Oklahoma City just did a tremendous job of pressuring him at the three-point line, staying in front, and then a ton of weak side help at the rim. The key with James Harden is you want to meet him there at the rim and be able to at least contest without fouling him, because that's how he controls the game. He puts front lines in foul trouble, and then when he gets deeper into the rotation on the bench, now you've got a real problem on your hands. If he's going to hit 4 or 5 threes and get to the line 15 times, that's when you can't beat the Rockets. I thought Oklahoma City's game plan on him was fantastic. They were ready for the challenge, and that back line was there every time he got to the rim, which gave him a really inefficient night. And James Harden can go through these stretches because the degree of difficulty is so high on his average shot that when he's not feeling it, he goes through some horrific droughts. And over the last 2 games, that's exactly what you've seen.
All right, we were going to be watching Harden anyway, but this is a trend now for us to watch with him. Thanks, Tim.
You got it, Stan.
Breaking news here on SportsCenter about Sixers big man Joel Embiid. It's a torn radial collateral ligament in his left ring finger, and the team just announced he will be having surgery to repair it tomorrow and be reevaluated in 1 to 2 weeks. Bad news for the Sixers. Here's their head coach, Brett Brown.
You have to recalibrate a little bit and find a way to get excited to coach the team that we have. All of a sudden we're different. We're just different. And I look at this as an opportunity, and nobody's crying. This is not a woe is me moment, not for me at all, and not for my players. I'm putting a blowtorch, a bullet, many bullets into what we used to do. Really, like it doesn't fit. And so shame on me to try to make it fit. We don't have Joel Embiid.
Tim Legler joins us now. And Legs, when you look at what Embiid has done so far this season, statistically, one of the better seasons of his career, 23 and 12 is what he's averaging. Overall, a good season for him. You hear Brett Brown say we have to recalibrate. How does he do that?
Difficult. But look, one of the reasons you go out and get Al Horford is for this exact reason. Okay, now they try to play together, and they're still learning how to do that together. But look, without Joel Embiid, you have a guy in Al Horford who's played center his entire career prior to this year. So that's one bonus of adding a guy like that. Here's where they're going to miss him, though. The identity of their offense when he plays big and he plays powerful in the post, it's something that they always have an answer for any time in a game when they're struggling to get flow in their offense. Let's just give it to this guy down in the low post and something good's going to happen. And then his rim protection. He might be the best in the league at making up for mistakes defensively with the ground he covers on the backside. So, look, you can't make up for everything that he does, but at least you do have a guy like Al Horford that can slide into that 5 spot, and then they got a guy like Mike Scott or Ennis. One of those guys will slide into the starting lineup. The thing I worry about the most, I looked at their schedule just to see, over the next month, they've got 8 games against the other top teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a real dogfight I don't think they expected to see themselves in 5th place
Exactly.
in mid-January. That's how good Miami has been, how good Boston has been. In Milwaukee, we know about Indiana, Toronto. So now they've got 8 games against all those teams, including 2 against Brooklyn. That's what you worry about. Where are they going to be when the smoke clears and he is back on the court? Will they have lost some ground in that Eastern Conference playoff race that is so tight?
Because they have not been playing well. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games. Playing the Boston Celtics tonight, they knew they'd be without him for that, but now we'll see how long. Remember, Embiid, by the way, expressing frustration.